Hello, welcome to another video of reading Transformers Fiction, Transformers Prime Shatterglass, and we'll be reading Chapter 3 today. Let's get started. Agent Bischoff has been called. Agent who? Miko asked, looking over at Knockout, who had announced the previous statement. Bishop, Leland, Bishop are liaison to the outside world, Megatron explained. The kids exchanged looks with each other. What happened to Agent Fowler? It was now the Decepticons' turn to exchange looks with each other. Agent Fowler? Breakdown asked. Miko blinked. Yeah? He's the leader of Mech. Jack looked like he was going to faint again, and Miko led him to the green couch. You don't handle overwhelming situations very well, do you? She stated. Jack managed a glare. When we're looking at the very beings who want to destroy Earth and they're actually on our side, and the beings who are actually trying to save the Earth are now the ones trying to destroy it. Okay, I get it. But Mech? Raph asked, looking over at Knockout. Yes, military engineering corps for hard-hearted creepers like Silas, Miko finished, raising an eyebrow. That works too, Knockout shrugged, giving her an amused smile as the door to the elevator opened and two men stepped out. One wearing a bright white lab coat with a stethoscope around his neck. His facial features looked like a little like Jack's, but his eyes were green and his hair was simply a dark brown, not a black. Under the lab coat, he was wearing a blue button-down shirt and black slacks with black loafers. He was carrying a first aid kit. Silas, or Agent Bishop, was wearing a gray suit and white button-down like Agent Fowler did. The only difference was that his hair was how it originally was, gray, and he wore a dark red tie. Dr. Darby looked around before spotting the kids. He blinked. Knockout, what happened to the kids? Statement ground bridge activated and turned into black hole. Reason unknown, Soundwave said for him before playing a sentence that Breakdown said previously. Megatron, we lost the kids. Jack, Miko, and Raph exchanged looks with each other. He can talk, Miko whispered to the others. Raph shrugged, and Jack was too busy staring at Dr. Darby to reply. The two were actually having a staring contest until he stepped forward and placed his first aid kit on the table and opened it, taking out a few cloth pads and rubbing alcohol. Jason? Jack couldn't help but ask. The doctor stopped. Yes? Jack's eyes widened again. This couldn't be real. His father was standing in front of him. So what happened to his mother? Meanwhile, Jason Darby was trying to keep calm and professional about the situation as he silently started to clean his this boy's cuts. This couldn't be Jack, could it? And yet it felt like it could. Maybe it was an older version. What do you mean, black hole? Silent Agent Bishop demanded, walking to the railing and resting his hands on it. When a ground bridge hasn't been configured properly, many things can go wrong. A time-space vortex could open up. It could become a black hole, or it could look completely normal and disfigure the Cybertronian or human walking through when they come out. Or as they are walking through, it could close on them, leaving them stranded in the dimensions of space and time. Ground and space bridge engineering is pretty tricky. However, we weren't the ones who made many changes to the ground bridge, Knockout explained, looking at the agent intently with his one optic. Then why don't you ask them? Bishop asked, his eyes narrowed. That's another thing. These three humans are different than the Miko, Raph, and Jack we know. They're with the Autobots. Agent Bishop immediately turned to look at them, and Jason Darby stopped his work for a minute at hearing that. You three are what? Raph shrunk back in slight fear, which surprised some of the Decepticons. He wasn't the shy type, or at least their Raph wasn't. We're with the Autobots, Miko confirmed Knockout's statements. She looked rather proud of it, that fact too. Then what are you doing here? Bishop nearly growled. Easy, Bishop, Breakdown said, gesturing for him to let up a little. Megatron looked towards them. From where they come from, the Autobots apparently seem to be good, and we, the Decepticons, are the enemy. Everything seems to be the opposite of what it really is. Yeah, like, what's going on here? Miko added, gesturing to the two Darbys. Jack shot her a look. We need to figure out a way to contact Jack, Miko, and Raph. You think I don't know that? Well, no. I'm alerting Agent Fowler of a current situation. The kids are missing. Primus knows how long they will be, and their families are going to be concerned, Ratchet stated, rapidly typing on the computer, never looking away from the monitor. Agent Fowler? Jack asked. Primus, Miko added. And here comes the questions, RC mumbled. Agent Fowler is our liaison to the outside world, Optimus informed them, giving RC a look through, though it was brief. But, Jack whispered, exchanging glances with the others, he's the leader of Mech. Ratchet was able to hold back his snort this time as Optimus looked at them. That would be Silas, or Colonel Leland Bishop. You're kidding, right? Miko asked, stating it more than asking it. Optimus simply shook his helm. So what about Primus? Primus, Optimus asked, turning to Jack. Ratchet said Primus knows how long, the boy continues. I mean, we know who he is and who Unicron is, I think, he muttered the last part quietly. Primus is the incarnation of creation, the other destruction, Optimus explains. Okay, switch that, and that's how we know them, Raph said, crossing his arms over each other at the word switch. Your dimension is weird, RC muttered. Yours is weirder, Raph shot back. Agent Fowler is on his way, Ratchet announced, cutting off the two before RC could reply back. And Nurse Darby is as well. Nico and Raph looked at Jack briefly as Optimus nodded, and RC sighed before walking off down the hall somewhere. She isn't too bad, is she? Raph asked, jerking his thumb down the hallway. RC had gone back as he looked at Nico. The girl shrugged. She hasn't tried to kill me yet. What about Bulkhead? He seems chill, Raph replied. Jack looked over at Bumblebee, where Ratchet has started working on him again. It was weird seeing all the different color schemes for the Autobots. Instead of black and purple, Optimus was red and blue, and instead of purple and white, Ratchet was orange, red, and white. Instead of gold and purple, RC was blue and pink. Instead of red, Bulkhead was green. And instead of black and yellow, Bumblebee was yellow and black. And he didn't have a scar over where his mouth would be. Eventually, the medic finished working on the scout and stepped back for one seemly contents. It appears that he will make a full recovery, Ratchet announced, and Optimus nodded once as the proximity alarm went off. That would be Fowler, Bulkhead muttered. Soon enough, the lift to the base started to come down, and Agent Fowler stepped out. What's the deal here? He asked, looking at each of the Autobots before catching a glimpse at the kids. Raph, you had a son growth spurt. Agent Fowler, these are not the children you are familiar with, Optimus told them, leaving the agent rather confused. Wait, so the story Ratchet described to me is real? Ratchet rolled his optics. I wouldn't have called you over to waste your time if it wasn't, he muttered. June came driving in then. Jack's gone, she asked, leaving the small boy to blush in embarrassment. Yes and no, Ratchet replied, earning a confused look from the nurse. Primus is going to be confusing, he muttered, before filling both Agent Fowler and Nurse Darby on what happens. Once she finished, June and Darby looked towards the kids and looked them up and down, her gaze staying on Jack the longest before reaching her car and bringing out a first aid kit before walking up to them. None of you are hurt, are you? Raph banged his head against the railing when the black hole first opened up, Nico replied, and Raph shot her a look. I'm fine, really. No lightheadedness? No. Dizziness? Nada. Headache? Not really. June looked over at him for a while as if assessing him before leaving it at that and setting the first aid kit on the table. Meanwhile, Jack couldn't stop looking at the woman who was apparently supposed to be his mother in this weird dimension. It was weird. He hadn't seen her in a few years, and after only a short time here, he missed his dad. Though he never really met the other Jack, he wondered how he felt right now about seeing his father. And that is it for Chapter 3. Hope you enjoyed this video as I will be continuing this book. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.